Hey everyone, Nexia here. This is part 1 of a 2-part series. In this part, we will be talking about what I would call core gameplay, aka the official games in the Luna game series. So that would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, although the creator calls this Luna Game End. In the next video, so the one coming out next week, we will talk about fan games, other Luna games, and all sorts of Easter eggs that aren't part of the core gameplay part of this creepypasta. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it, and I hope you enjoy. On April 3rd, 2011, a post was made on Equestria Daily labeled Luna Game. It appeared harmless enough, so a few bronies downloaded it, only to quickly realize it was not what it seemed. The beginnings of the first 3 games and Luna Game 5 use Super Pony Beat songs as their soundtrack. It is unknown who wrote their stories. Gameplay. The first game starts out with you playing as Princess Luna on a simplistic platform level. You are able to jump and move around using the arrow keys. But after about 20 seconds of playing, or a few more seconds if you're standing still, the screen cuts to one of 2 sinister images, a Pinkie Pie with Zalgofied eyes, or an inauspicious-looking apple bloom. At this point, one of 4 ominous remixes of songs from the show begins to play, and you realize that the game will neither close with the escape key nor Alt and F4. The mouse will become stuck at the bottom right of the screen as well, while the game window stays on top of every other window. The only way to close the game at this point is to open Task Manager via Ctrl-Alt-Delete and end the process by navigating to the program using the arrow keys and pressing Enter or Alt and E. Otherwise, the game automatically closes on its own after a while. Aftermath. When users looked at the location they'd saved the game in after it closed, they found a multitude of pictures, depending on what image the player ended up with in the game, and text files labeled, quote, "The end is nay." The text within these files would also contain that same simple phrase. At first, most bronies thought the program was to some kind of sadistic form of a computer virus under the guise of an indie Friendship is Magic fan game, but after a while, and many virus scans, it was confirmed to be just a rather mean prank. The game itself did not modify or delete any files on the user's computer. It only saved screenshots and text documents. Still, when the user downloaded the program to their desktop, deleting all the pictures and text documents generated would prove to be quite annoying, unless they were smart enough to keep everything in its own folder. Luna Game 2, aka Luna 2. On May 30th, 2011, another game was submitted to Equestria Gaming. This one started out similarly to the previous, but with slightly more enhanced graphics and an improved sprite character. As you begin playing, you are told immediately that you can hold Shift to run. After you get going, though, you start to notice cracks forming in the ground. As you move farther, the cracks get bigger and bigger until they completely cover the ground. Then, suddenly, the screen cuts to a Zalgofied image of Pinkamena, while white noise plays for about a second, then flashes back to the game. Now, the background and the blocks are all tinted dark red, and you can only move very slowly as some disturbing music plays in the background. This drove some players mad. At this point, the only thing to do is go forward until you reach a giant chasm in the ground and fall down into it. While plummeting, the background fades to black, with Luna eventually fading too after a game over screen of her plummeting is revealed. The image used at this point is an edited version of Luna's descent. More creepy music begins playing, and after a moment, the game closes. During this process, you are unable to close the game normally, and after the first flash, you are unable to move your mouse, just like in the first Luna game. The major differences between this game and the first are the considerably improved graphics, and that Luna 2 does not create any extra files, which the first one was infamous for. Luna Game 3. The third installment was released on June 11th, 2011. Once again, you start out as Luna in a very simplistic platform world, a looping environment, but this time it's a forest setting. With the same controls as last time, Luna is able to run to either the left or right of the screen. As she does so, the screen gets darker, and after a while of running, the background music begins to slow down and distort, continuing until it is interrupted by static. The trees are now dark and bloody. Disturbing music begins to play once again, and occasionally, if you listen closely, you can hear ponies chattering in the background. After this part, you will eventually run into a giant gap in the ground. It's possible to jump out over this hole, which will cause a distorted version of Fluttershy yelling to play. This will only happen with the first jump. You can continue running, but the level will keep looping. The player is then forced to fall down the hole. A very distorted can be heard from Fluttershy, and one of the several randomly chosen Zalgofied pony images is flashed. When the screen returns to normal, Luna is lying on the ground, which is similar to what she's been running on the whole time, her legs severed and blood everywhere. After waiting for about 5 seconds, she opens her eyes, and then the screen flashes to an extreme close-up of her disfigured face. A blood-curdling shriek is uttered before the game closes. Luna Game 4. A fourth game was introduced to the community on July 9th, 2011. Once again, you start out as Princess Luna, standing on a nice, grassy cliff beneath a blue sky with some kind of cheerful music playing. Though there is only one place you're able to go. Off of that cliff. After you jump down, you hit the ground at a high speed and hear a splat as the screen turns black. "You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?" appears on the screen, and after a few moments, the game closes. Trying to reopen the game in any way is pointless because after a few seconds it reopens on its own, having turned into a background task for a few moments. The words, "It didn't have to turn out like this," and "You didn't have to die," are presented to the player. A few seconds later, a blood splatter appears on the screen, jarring itself madly around and displaying the text, "But now you are in my world," as a roar plays. Next, you see Princess Luna in a new setting, shooting down from the top left corner of the screen and hitting the ground. The world is all red, almost appearing as if you're in pony hell. At this point, you have to quickly sprint right and avoid the obstacles in your path before the darkness closing in from the left catches up to you. If you get caught in the darkness, it will flash several creepy images of Pinkie Pie. One creepy picture is from a similar game, Dreamy Rainbow. You see the same thing when you run into the creepy Pinkie Pie in the next part. If you do manage to get past all of the crazy terrain, you are still forced to jump off a cliff into the red darkness below. Yet only here do you get sent into the next part. This one is the craziest. It starts with Zalgofied text that seems to glitch out. When it goes away, some sort of messed up 8-bit music plays in the background while bugged-looking blocks appear on the screen. The blocks will randomly change appearance, even if you don't do anything. All the way to the right is a large wall that you cannot get over. Your only choice is to head for higher ground. The higher you get, the darker the screen gets, making it very hard to navigate above the blocks to get on top of where you started. When you go back all the way left on the top layer and jump over a pillar, a creepy Pinkie appears close by, but disappears very quickly. Going back to the right, the music suddenly gets faster, and the blocks start to fade away. Luna is forced to run from the darkness while avoiding the terrain again. If you are able to reach the end, you run right into the same creepy Pinkie, and the screen goes black. You hear a heartbeat fade in and see the same iconic image of Pinkamena from Party of One. The heartbeat gets louder, and the image gets lighter until it suddenly cuts to another gory version of the picture with static. The picture eventually fades out again as you hear Pinkie Pie laughing in the background. The game will not let you reopen it. That is, unless you use a special replay program or delete a file the game created in the player's C/Windows/temp. Instead, it simply says, "Your fate is already sealed." Luna Game 0. A prequel to the original series of games was posted on August 15th, 2011. Just like the previous installments, you begin the game as Luna, but this time in Princess Celestia's castle. When you talk to Celestia, she tells you that it would be nice for you to go out and make some friends. After you exit to the right, you move to a grassy area with nice music playing. All 6 of the main cast can be found on the map, and each one has their own problem that you can help with. Depending on who you return the lost item back to, you can play one of 6 different levels, each with a different item. After you collect 49 of the items on the map, you are able to collect the 50th, which is black and white. When you touch it, the music turns to a loud thunder. After that, the only thing you can do is continue on, at which point the ground suddenly disappears from underneath you. Some creepy music starts playing as the screen fades to black. The screen flashes white, and an image of Nightmare Moon appears. After another flash, Nightmare Moon's glowing eyes open. The screen goes back to where you stopped almost immediately, but everything is tinted red. After you continue back to the previous area, another creepy song begins to play, and the ponies you talk to say that Pinkie Pie is looking for you. When you talk to Pinkie Pie, she tells you that she wants to throw you another party, but shortly afterwards, the screen turns black, and the dark item you got from before appears, while you hear whispering in the background. After the screen returns to normal, Pinkie Pie goes on about the party. The screen then turns black again, with more whispering and the text, "Kill her," appearing at the very bottom. The screen eventually goes back to Pinkie Pie continuing to talk before turning black one last time, with longer whispering and large words saying, "Kill her now." After the screen goes back, you see Pinkie Pie asking if you're feeling okay. Then the screen goes black again. This time nothing else appears, but the music stops and you hear some sound effects and cutting noises. When the screen fades back in, you see yourself standing alone, with Pinkie Pie with a red sky behind you. Pinkie Pie has a slash going through her, and the words, "But why?" are at the bottom of the screen. After a few moments, the top half of her body begins sliding off, and the game closes. A few seconds later, it opens again, and the distorted noise from Luna Game 3 plays, along with a disturbing image of Pinkamena and text that says, "This isn't over." The game closes again shortly after. If you try to reopen the game, it says, "The past cannot be changed," and closes out, unless you follow the same instructions mentioned previously. Luna Game End. On August 22nd, 2012, the official Luna Game 5 appeared, titled Luna Game End. It wasn't so focused on scares like the others, but still had a creepy vibe that will keep you on edge. The game starts you off as the well-known Princess Luna, standing on a flat strip of grass at night with happy music playing in the background. After a short amount of walking, you're greeted by an oh-so-familiar cliff. This time, though, when you jump off of it, you safely land on the ground. After a bit more walking, Luna begins to slow down, and eventually the text, "I'm really tired," appears over her head. She collapses a moment later, stating, "I'll just rest for a moment." The screen slowly fades to black afterwards. After the music stops, you suddenly appear in a completely white world, with only a single black line as the ground below you. Walk to the right some and you'll spot an 8-bit limbo sprite from Luna Game 4 going nuts in the air. Touching it will cause strange background sounds to begin and the ground below you to disappear, but fear not, you don't fall long before hitting some kind of invisible ground. After walking to the right more, you'll start to notice sky blocks and ground blocks appearing in a random order, eventually building an entire sky behind you. After another few moments, a strange screech in the same style as the odd background sounds will play, and the floor will disappear again. This time, when you fall, the blue sky turns into an empty, dark red sky, and a different creepy soundtrack plays. After you hit the ground again, you're greeted by ground blocks with a similar line design to that of Luna Game 4's Hell Stage. Continuing to walk right will reveal a smaller cliff, one which you can see to the bottom of. Jumping off it will trigger the ground blocks to randomly start turning into the 8-bit limbo blocks from Luna Game 4, the second soundtrack in the 8-bit limbo world, Incoming Darkness, to play, and the dark shadow to start eating up the screen to your left. If you don't hurry, the shadow will immediately eat you and take you to the next map. If you manage to outrun it, you're greeted with several obstacle courses, but the result in the end is the same, though how you get there does affect the game's ending. After the darkness takes you to the next room, you find Luna lying back down on the ground from the first scene where she took a nap. Really low, creepy music starts playing, and after a moment, she stands up, or if you press a key. Holding shift is disabled. Walking to the right will reveal some shadow ponies. The silhouettes of Rainbow Dash, Twilight Sparkle, Rarity, Fluttershy, and Applejack can all be found, as well as an unknown filly. Walking next to some of the ponies triggers text above their heads. At random moments, static will flash across the screen and white noise will be heard. When this happens, the text above the ponies' heads will change, and the silhouettes of all of them, except for the unknown filly, will change back into their original sprites, though lacking any pupils. The static only lasts a moment. After walking all the way to the right of the screen, it does not happen again, and you're able to run. After walking a while back to the left, you're greeted by Nightmare Moon, where you lose control over Luna. Another creepy song starts playing at this point, accompanied by a heartbeat. As Luna walks towards Nightmare Moon, loud static plays once, and fan art of the previous Luna games flashes on screen. This happens one more time before you reach Nightmare Moon, and when you do, the screen goes black. If you died before reaching the end with the darkness, the game will end for you at this point. Otherwise, you are taken to another place. The background is completely black here, but as you move, cracks start appearing in the ground below you. It disappears after becoming completely cracked. Your only option is to go right at this point, and when the ground below you is gone, you're shown another path just below where you were that continues right. From this point on, you can continue as far right as you can, but in the end, you will always fall. Once that happens, Luna is replaced with Nightmare Moon for a split second as static and white noise plays. After another moment, you hear a splat and the screen goes black. Slowly, the screen fades back in, and you see the same dead Luna from Luna Game 3, except instead of another screamer, the game just closes itself. However, if you go through Luna 4 and 0 again and re-experience the journey and survive the darkness, you'll be greeted by a happy ending. It's a similar scene from the Luna Game 0 demo, and everything is alright in it. The main six ask Luna what has happened, and she says she had a nightmare. She shakes the entire experience off as if it was nothing. But in the end, for a fraction of a second, the Pinkamena sprite from Luna Game 4 flashes on screen before the game closes.